difficult. My dog, Maggie, is almost 14 years old, and I don't think you can get dogs hearing aids, but she's starting to lose her hearing. There were times I would come to the house and she would immediately be at the door. Now I come into the house and I basically have to wake her up because she doesn't hear me. Father Steitel and I discovered a little while ago that she hears better out of her left ear than out of her right ear, so if we want to get her, we just go over to the left side and talk to her on that side. You know, when it comes to listening to God, we can be very selective. I have hearing aids. I'm not necessarily being selective. The dog isn't necessarily being selective. They just can't hear. But sometimes when it comes to listening to God, we're selective. God, you got to talk. Is God speaking to our hearts today? Is there some way that God is speaking to us and perhaps we're not listening? Maybe we're just not paying attention. And maybe we consciously have kind of just said, I'm not going to listen. 2 days ago, Maggie started doing something she'd never done before. I used to be able to put food out on the table, and she wouldn't touch it. But she touched it. And there were little cookie wrappers and different things sitting around, so I thought, okay. So I had a little bowl of stuff, and I took that away, and I still had something there, but I just put a lid on it, figured it was safe. Well, it wasn't. There were found peanuts all over the house. And the wrappers were all over the place and everything else. And I tried to let her know that I wasn't happy, but it was almost like she had been staring at that food for 3 months, because some of it was Christmas stuff. Been staring at that for 3 months, saying, nope, I'm not going to touch it. And finally, she just said, I don't care. I'm just going to eat it. And that's what sin is. You know, sin is, it's like, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't go there. I shouldn't look at that. And after a while, we're pretty good, and then finally we just go, I don't care. Just go do it. And then we go, why did I say that? Why did I go there? Why did I do that? Why did I look at that? We can fill in the blank. Lent is an opportunity for us to go before the Lord and to ask God for the grace and the courage and the strength to just keep moving forward. To not give up, to not get to a point where we just go, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it. God offers us his grace and his strength. And Lent is an opportunity for us to remember that. It's not just about giving things up, it's about letting God in. What if we tried to do that this Lent? If we opened our ears and our hearts just a little bit more, we tried to let God in. And when we were tempted to go in another direction, when we stare at something for a while and go, you know what? To remember that, nope, we don't have to. That God is there. The gospel said, rise and do not be afraid. We have many things going on in our world right now, in our country, that can make us afraid. We have many things going on in our families, in our own lives, that can make us afraid. We're not necessarily going to be able to get to a point where we don't have fear. It's when we have that fear, we can say, where do I go with that? Do I go to the Lord and ask him to walk with me, ask him for his grace and his strength and his courage, or do I go someplace else? Sin is when we go someplace else instead of going to the Lord. And he was transfigured, and his clothes became white as light. White as light. You can't really stare at a light bulb most of the time, unless it's a special bulb, because it's so bright. That's how so bright his clothes became. And he wants that brightness to dwell within us. What if today we decided to ask God to allow his light to dwell deep within us? If we allow that light to dwell deep within us, then we're going to live our lives differently. There's no choice. When his light is dwelling deep within me, there's no choice. And it's a good thing. But so many times we want other things to dwell within us. And it kind of pushes out his light. In this Lenten season, an opportunity to take that light in. Not to give up necessarily. Giving up is okay. But to choose to take that light in. The second reading said, bear your share of hardships for the gospel with the strength that comes from God. We're going to have hardships. It'd be nice not to, but we're going to have them. We're going to have them in our lives. We're going to have them in our world. And how we deal with those comes from the strength of God. We get in trouble when we try to deal with them with our strength. Again, it doesn't mean things are always going to happen the way we want them to. But when things don't happen the way we want to, God, I'm using your strength. God, I'm using your strength. Changes everything. He saved us and called us to a holy life, not according to our works, but according to his own design. He called us to a holy life. We can do it. I can't be holy. Yes, you can. We all can. When we let that light shine in us, we just have to decide whether we want to be. Whether we want to be. Lord, let your mercy be on us as we place our trust in you. Trust. How many times do we hear that? The difficult word. I know I'm supposed to trust in God, but sometimes we can maybe even get sick of hearing it. I'm supposed to trust in God. I know. But how do I get to a point where I can trust in God? By letting that light shine in. And I let his brightness shine inside of me. Go forth, God said to Abram, and I will make you a great nation. And Abram went as the Lord directed him. Go forth. You know, when you have a little kid and you're trying to teach him how to walk, go. What God does with us, go. It's okay. Sometimes we can just, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not doing anything. It's like, no, go. I'll walk with you. You have nothing to fear. So listening is not always easy. Sometimes we choose not to listen. But we have the courage to listen. To listen with our ears, our eyes, our hearts. And when we're tempted, like the dog was, to eat the food that's there, when we're tempted to say, you know what? May we remember that God's grace and God's strength is there. God's grace and God's strength in there. And he will give us, if we allow him, the light inside of us that will keep us pointed towards him.